I remember when my sister got into Korean stuff, like when she started watching K-dramas and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, this isn't Japanese. There's no anime here. Why do you like this? Was it the same for you? Did you just sort of like hop the wagon from Japan to Koreans? Like what was the shift? How did you get into K dramas and stuff like that?
How I got into it was a little bit different
Mm-hmm.
because um, I liked anime and stuff, yeah.
Light,
But
as in past
well,
tense.
I mean, I still love anime. I just mean like back then,
Uh huh.
I liked anime and stuff. But you know, like I got into like Kingdom Hearts,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got into like Utada Hikaru, who sings for Kingdom Hearts, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when I started learning Japanese, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was learning Japanese, there was a video game I was playing called Fly for Fun. It's really old MMO, like
Hold
really
on.
old
Let me
by
Google
now.
this. Continue. I don't know
And
this. Mm-hmm.
I met some Malaysian people there, and
Mm-hmm.
so I guess like the K-pop craze was really big in Malaysia at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So they started like we started talking about anime and stuff, and then they were like, "Have you ever heard K-pop?" And I'm like, "What is that?" And then they were like, "It's so good, you gotta see this." So then they sent me two K-pop videos. It was Girls' Generation O was the
Mm-hmm.
girl group version,
I
and
know
then
that group.
Super Junior Sorry Sorry was the guy version. I was like, yo, this is actually lit. Like, it's kind of like pretty good, because it was like the I guess at that point I didn't know Korean, so it just sounded like words, but
Mm-hmm.
like it was catchy, like super catchy.
Mm-hmm.
And me, I've always liked like music and stuff that was different. I've always liked languages. So I was like, you know what, this K-pop thing seems kind of cool. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started like listening to K-pop, and I got into it. And then through K-pop, I met some other girls online, and they were like, "Have you ever seen a K-drama?" And I was like, "No, I only know K-pop." And then they were like, "Well, you gotta watch this K-drama." So then they gave me Secret Garden to watch, which was, I guess, a big K-drama back then. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? This is actually pretty nice. Because back then I only watched like anime. I wasn't interested in like Western TV shows and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
like K-drama gave me the whole, I guess, real people
Live action.
entertainment without, yeah, without being like Western TV shows. Because
Mm-hmm.
Western TV shows are a little bit more crude and like realistic, I guess. Meanwhile, K drama is like an anime, but it's live people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have that storyline that's like more romance and fantasy kind of thing. So that's why I got into that. So that's how I got into like the K drama aspect, and then I just eventually just started learning Korean. Because,
Did you learn it
well,
from the K dramas, or did you start learning it like from some software or like a school? How did that work out?
I learned it in various ways, but it was all like loosely
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't like I was super serious about it. Because remember, my goal was still Japan, so
Yeah.
it was like I went to Korea and stuff, but my goal at the end of the day is still Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I did the Rosetta Stone. I learned I think in one day I learned the entire Korean alphabet.
Really?
And yeah, it's not that hard. It's like just a little few more practice than English
Mm-hmm.
or than the Roman alphabet. So I learned that, and then it's like, this is not that bad. I already know to read Korean now, so I might as well just start learning it. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned it like online, like YouTube videos a little bit, and then that's when I got like super interested. Like, do we have a Korean embassy in Trinidad? I got like into it, and then I found them online and I emailed them like, "Do you guys do classes?" And they were like, "No, we didn't know people were interested."
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me to come to the embassy, and then I went to the embassy. I met them, and we ended up having Korean classes in Trinidad because I went and like asked them. So
So you
we
were
ended
the
up having
first person
meetings.
to ask about this in the whole
Yeah,
country.
well, not the first person. There was another girl who
Mhm.
ended up being my friend after.
Mhm.
She asked them about it, but she never like pursued it or anything. She just like
Mhm.
asked them one time, like, "Do you guys ever think you will do this?" And they're like, "Well, if more people are interested," but no one was interested.
Mhm.
And then when I joined, I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna make a Facebook page and I'm gonna recruit people and stuff." So that's what I did. At that time, the Facebook page was called. Wait, is this promotion or is this? I mean, it's no longer used for that, anyways. But
Does it
at
still
that
exist?
time, the name changed. I'm not gonna use the new name, but I'll use the old name.
Mhm.
So at the time, it was called like "Talk to Me in Korean, Trinidad and Tobago."
Mhm.
So then I made that page and I was like promoting it, like, if you are interested in Korean culture and K-drama and stuff, like, you join this. And then eventually we got like 30 people interested. So
Mhm.
then we started the class.
Mhm.
And I think a few months we had like maybe 2 to 3 months we had classes, and then like the teacher left to go back to Korea, and then somebody else taught, and I guess they moved to America after, and then I don't know what happened, because then I like graduated my degree that I was doing in Trinidad, so I left to come back to Tobago. So I don't know what else happened then. Like, I don't even know if they still teach now or anything, because I lost like track of all of that.
I would like to assume they still do, because I know some people in TT who go to Korean classes. Now, I don't know if they go to the embassy or anything like that, but I know people who go to Korean classes over there. So my assumption is that it has continued in some regard, I guess, because there are a lot of people who are still into Korean culture in Trinidad. They're into K-pop, they're into K-dramas, they like the whole, Korean guys and all that kind of stuff. I mean, granted, generally most of the people into that are female. Yeah, I think the percentages of guys who are into Korean stuff are not as high. And one of the weirdest things for me was coming here to the UK, and my missus's friend, she has this friend, her best friend over here in the UK. I think my missus went over to her house one time, and they were just having like a girls' night, just having some drinks and stuff, and just chit chatting. And she comes back home the next day, and she's like, "Q, you know what? So and so likes these Korean dramas and stuff. Like, I came in and she had it up on her telly and stuff, and I was like, what is that?" And she was like, "Oh, this is my guilty pleasure. I watch this." And then my missus got into it. Thankfully, she doesn't watch it in the house though, so that's good. She goes over to her friends and watches it. She doesn't watch it in the house. We have a no K-drama rule in this house. It's just, she...
Wow, what's wrong? Like, K-dramas are actually pretty good.
I've seen some good ones. I have seen, my sister's introduced me to some good ones. I don't know, there's a thing I have where when everyone is fangirling or fanboying over something, I just can't like it. Like, my brain says, don't like it, Q. Like, this is just, you'll be following the sheep. I don't live that sheep life. No, stay away from it.
That's exactly how I feel about Attack on Titan.
Yes, I couldn't get into Attack on Titan because everyone liked it so much. And
yeah, I still can't get into it, even though it's like ending now. I just, no.
I have some mates who are really into it, that I do a podcast with called HBMP Podcast, like, and they're all into it. And whenever we're chatting, because when we finish the podcast, we sort of like chit chat, and basically when we end the podcast, they're all talking about, like, we talk about different stuff like anime, serial, random stuff, and then every time they talk about Attack on Titan, they have to like censor themselves because I haven't seen it yet. So like, oh, we can't talk about that. Q hasn't seen it yet. So to that extent, I would like to see it so that they don't have to tiptoe around me, so that they can actually just like say what they want to say and not have to feel like, they're going to spoil something for me, that I can actually just engage with it. So I'm fine with that. I'm pretty chill with that, basically, as a thing. But it's been enough time that I think I can watch it now. And I think it's fine if I get into it before everyone does. Like, if something becomes popular after I've already been into it, I don't mind. But if everyone else likes it, like if I see like 10, 15 people in my feed, because we both have a lot of friends who like anime and stuff like that. So if like 10, 15 people in my feed post this thing, I ain't watching it. At that point in time, no, I don't care about it anymore. But if I don't see anyone post about it, and maybe one person posts and they say, "Hey man, you should check this out," and I check it out and I'm like, "Ooh, this is good," and then everyone else starts posting about it, at that point in time, I was already there. I don't care anymore. It's good. So I think that's why I like Jujutsu Kaisen, because I didn't see anyone post about it until I started watching it, and then people started posting about it. And I was like, ooh, okay, I can vibe with Jujutsu still. No one, it's not like it's become a thing. And it's kind of I think there's only one series where I've dropped after everyone started liking it, and that was JoJo. I started JoJo before everyone I know, and then the minute it became this huge pop thing, I was like, yeah, you guys are getting a bit too weird for me. Like, I'll take a break. So, yeah. But back to Korea though. Back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You lived in Korea for some time.
3 years.
What was the experience like?
Well-rounded.
If you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate living in Korea? And here's the thing. We can split the points.
Okay.
We can split the points up. So 1 to 10. So it's 5 points in each category. You get 2 points, right? So quality of life, 1. Right? That can be like the availability to stuff. And
I gotta write this down. My brain is bad.
Do you have a pen and paper or your phone or something to write it down?
I'll just write it on my phone.
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Okay, let me. Like, my memory is terrible. Now that I've actually finished my master's and I don't need it anymore, it's like really bad. Okay. So 1.
1, quality of life. So that's 2 points for quality of life.
Oh,
you can either give it 0, or you can give it 1, or you can give it 2. Okay? 2 would obviously be top of the line, really good quality of life. 1 would be 50-50. 0 is trash, right? So underneath, trash, right? So you have quality of life. You have, let's go with the culture, So
culture?
Yes, culture. So like, the whole traditions and all that kind of stuff over there. We're gonna give racism its own category. So let's put that there. Just not even like try to tiptoe around it. Racism. So that's like 2 for racism as well.
Yeah, I already know what that one's gonna be like.
I don't know. I'm not psychic. I don't know these things. Let's go. Let's take 2 for let me see, for salary, meaning that the finances over there, like how well you get money over there and stuff like that, and we'll put 5 for safety, right?
Safety.
All right. So each of those have 2 points. It's 5 in total. So how will you pick your points now between 0 and 2 for each, and then give me your number, and then tell me how you broke it down.
Well, we gotta split this in half, okay? So I'll give you the first 5 for my first year in Korea, because I lived somewhere completely different.
Okay,
and then the second part will be when I moved to the capital.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. So I'll start with Busan first, which is where I lived the first year. So Busan, for quality of life, I'd give it 1.
Okay, so 50%.
And that's because Busan's really chill. Because it's like mostly, it's a city, yes. It's the second biggest city in Korea. But the people are more like rural kind of people. So they're more friendly, and, everything's accessible, and, you just don't really have a bad day.
Okay, cool.
The only reason why I didn't give it 2 is because the pollution.
Oh, so it's got a lot of pollution.
Well, there's pollution in Korea in general, in the air. It's called misemonji. What is that in English? It's like fine dust.
Okay.
Kind of like the Sahara dust we get,
okay,
but worse, like 10 times worse.
So you always have to have a mask.
Yeah, you have to wear the mask and everything. And I guess that's probably gonna shave a point of quality of life for everywhere I've been to in Korea, just because you couldn't breathe, and I have asthma, so it's like,
it
wasn't the
worse.
greatest for me. So that shaves like a point off.
Okay.
So quality of life is 1 for Busan.
Okay.
Culture for Busan, well, I mean, they all have the same culture, but culture is 2
Okay, so that's 3
for
points so far.
Busan.
Mm-hmm.
Because Busan, the people are so friendly, and they love to see you interested in their culture. Like I remember the first time I went out, like I didn't know as much conversational Korean then because I had just moved, and it was like probably like the second week after I lived in Korea, so I didn't like. And I went to this store. It's like a, how do I say that? Like a lunchbox kind of store. You go and you buy food, it's already prepared in a lunchbox.
Oh, like a bento kind of thing.
Yeah, like a bento, but it's doshirak in Korean. So it's the same thing, kinda. And I ordered in Korean, and he was so like amazed that he gave me extra food. Like he was like, "Wow, you speak Korean!" Like he was just so amazed because, I mean, I guess at that point the capital had a lot more foreigners than Busan, and well, most of this will sound kind of bad, but most of the foreigners in the capital are Americans, and they're really gonna learn Korean. Like they're gonna speak to you in English. Like you know, they wouldn't really put that much effort into learning the language. So I guess that was really like
it was a shock,
amazing to him. So yeah, so I'll give culture a 2 just because they were so friendly and they taught you about their culture. They let you wear the traditional clothes. They took you to like the temples and stuff. It was really good, like really fun experience.
So we're sitting on 3 points so far. 3 points for our first location.
Yeah, for Busan. Racism in Busan, I'll give a 1.
1, so it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think my experience in Busan was a little bit skewed as well because my first year I spent a lot of time around other foreigners because we were all students, all foreign students. So that lessened how much time I spent with actual Korean people. So it was around people who all spoke Korean, but we were all not Korean. So, you know, that's a little bit skewed there. And what else made that skewed was my level of Korean wasn't the level I was a year later.
So your understanding was better.
Yeah, so I didn't understand as much if I was just like in the subway or something. I didn't understand as much. So I can't for say like I did experience a lot of racism because I don't know.
You don't know. It's like me when I went to Germany. I was on the subway and people were talking and laughing. I don't know what the hell they were saying. For all I know, they could have been like saying all sorts of stuff. You know, I mean, they could have been saying good stuff too. They could be like, look at that guy.
At the point when you don't really know, you can't really say for sure that, you know, I was experiencing racism because you don't really know.
Exactly.
Like,
for all you know, they could be like, look at her, she's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you couldn't like really make a thing. Actually, the first time I've actually openly experienced racism in Korea was when I visited the capital.
Okay, so it'd be like a subset of that. When was the first time you actually experienced racism in your life? Before we continue with this, when was the first time you ever experienced racism in your life? Was it in Korea?
Life? I wouldn't say it was Korea. I would say it was before, but online playing video games.
But in real life, it would have been in Korea.
In real life, it would have been Korea. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's an extent. Like my first racist experience was YouTube. So I put up a video. Someone called me the N-word. I was like, ain't that a thing? But
I actually didn't know it was so serious until I left this country. Because I mean, we don't really have that here. Like,
petty
I mean, we
racism
have it,
in
but
Trinidad.
it's like baby stuff, you know. It's not like people actually really mad at you for being who you are, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't really experience it until I left.
And then you realize, damn, look what's going on out here, man. This is a crazy world. Okay, so we are at 4 points so far. We're at
4
racism.
points to Busan.
Mm-hmm.
Salary,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's 2 because
You get paid well there.
you get paid well, and well, I mean, it's not paid well because it's not that much money, but the price for stuff in Busan is really cheap in comparison to the capital because it's like a more rural place. So the money you got, we got like 1,000 US a month, which is the equivalent to 1 million Korean won, a little bit more, was more than enough to sustain you for a month.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if you bought like rice and stuff, you would get like a 10 kg bag of rice for like $10. And then a 10 kg bag of rice is gonna last you like, if you eat rice 3 times a day every day, it's still gonna last you like 3 months, you know? So it's still like a lot. So I feel like I didn't spend what is that?
I'm assuming you spent most of your money on lesson.
I spent most of my money on video games.
What lesson? Yeah, lesson was top.
Oh, later, yeah. Video games.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let's continue. Go on. Tell me more. I'm curious. I want to know.
Well, I mean, I think that's it for salary, really.
Yeah,
and then
sounds good.
safety too.
Okay, so it's pretty safe. You don't have to worry about anything. You can go out at any hour of the night.
Yeah, you can come back at 3 a.m. walking drunk with your friends, and no one would bat an eye. No one would even like harass you. You can just take a taxi, stone drunk from wherever you want. They would drop you off home safely. Like that's one thing I wish like I had kept, you know, like that safety, because it's really scary now.
Yeah, in TT it is pretty scary.
It's really scary. But in Korea, I never worried. Like, there were times we came back at like 4 a.m. like to the dorms, and it was fine. No one harassed us. No one followed us. It was just fine.
Okay.
You never hear of anyone being shot. Well, I mean, they don't have guns really in Korea, so you never hear of anyone being like shot. I think maybe once in the entire 3 years of living there, I heard of like there was a knife attack or something. But you know, that was like one time in like 3 years. Like there wasn't anything that big or anything. So it was mostly super safe. You can take the subway whenever time you want. Like you can sleep over in saunas and stuff, and you'll be fine. Like
okay,
it's just pretty safe.
Is that all 5? Have we covered all 5? Or is there one more?
That's all.
All right, so in total we're looking at about 8 points, is it? I think about 8 points in total.
6, 7, 8, 9. 9 points.
Was it 9?
No.
Is it 9 we got? Okay, so let's
1,
see.
2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wait. No. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 points.
Okay, so I calculated right. I was thinking like, holy crap, my math is terrible.
Well, my mind's terrible. That's why. So I'm like, we're at 9.
Don't worry, my math is terrible too. I was like second guessing myself the whole time. I'm like, have I added this correctly? Do I have 10 fingers?
I'm really bad at math too, so it's like my least favorite subject.
Same.
So
English was my favorite subject. I love English, man. Beautiful.
same. English and IT.
Oof. Say no more. I love biology as well. Biology was just interesting.
Yeah, bio was pretty.
If I could do something in biology that wasn't like some kind of like going out in the woods or something, I would have done that. I would have pursued it. But I don't like being in the woods too much. There's no technology there. The Wi-Fi sucks. So yeah. So that being said, let's jump to the real big dog. What was it like in the city? I'm assuming Seoul, yeah?
So, yeah. Okay. So, quality of life. Can you give half points?
No. So you can give if it's not even a point, 0. It's a no. So if you can't even reach 1, as in 50-50, consider it a 0. Meaning that it's a less than 1. Let's go with nothing. So
Okay, quality of life 0.
ooh, let's hear it. Why? The first punch.
The reason why is Seoul is very overpopulated.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, the people in Seoul are very selfish.
Ooh.
So it's like you're never having a good time
Mm-hmm.
in terms of you can't even travel well on the subway because everyone will just pack into a car like sardines. Like you can't even breathe.
Wow.
Because there's just so much people and so little space. And they would just pass and push you out the way. Like if you fall, they don't care. I don't want to miss my train. You know? So like I think Seoul would be a lot better if it had a lot less people.
Mm-hmm.
Like because of that, everyone's just mad and crazy and they smoke and spit everywhere.
Oof, sounds like Germany.
So like if you're walking, someone can potentially just spit on you because you're smoking and just spitting everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are no trash cans
So it's
in the
polluted.
public, at least. It's not really polluted, but you just can't find trash cans. So maybe people just take their trash home
Mm-hmm.
or something, which I understand, but I kind of don't want to like drink a smoothie and carry the cup with me all the way home to throw it away, you know? Like I kind of just want to throw the smoothie cup somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, there's no trash cans, so that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
It has like 75% less greenery than Busan did.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you go outside and it's gray because of the pollution, and you just start feeling really depressed and moody and stuff because everything's just gray and it just makes you want to go home. Especially if you come from the Caribbean and if you live in Tobago,
Which is
where
beautiful.
you see like you see like these pretty beaches and the sky is blue and the mountains are really green, and you come from that and you just live in like a toilet. It's kind of really shocking. Like it's really jarring to come.
Oh my god.
I guess fun fact for that
Uh-huh.
is the happiest I felt after moving to Seoul was when I visited Japan on vacation.
Oh, you were like, I wish I could
Because-
stay.
Because I don't go to like the city part of Japan. I went to Yamaguchi,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a little bit more rural and like it was so pretty and it was so good and I could breathe without a mask. Like it was so good. I was so happy. I was like, this is what I was missing. I felt like rejuvenated. Like yeah, now I could finish my degree. Yeah.
And then you get back to Seoul and you cry for like another few months or a year or something.
Yeah, and then I got back to Seoul, and then the last 6 months, I was just like, I want to go home.
I remember you saying that. I remember you telling me you can't wait to get to leave, and I was so shocked when you told me this. I was like, this is the person I know who, of all the people I know, really wanted to go to Korea, and now she's like, I want to leave, and I was just like wow, like insane.
It really takes a toll on you mentally. When we get to point 3, I'll explain why it takes a toll on you mentally.
Ooh, the punches are coming. The punches. I'm estimating. I am already speculating. There's another 0 in this. So let's hear it. So Seoul has started with
minus, you know.
Minus points. Ooh. You know what? We can give those. You know, we can take away points.
So, culture, I would give it a 1.
Ooh, we starting at 1 as our first number. 1, a lonely number. Let's hear it.
Because it was slightly similar to Busan, but it was less as genuine. You could say.
Okay.
It's like the Busan people were really just excited and interested in like you as a foreigner and showing you their country and stuff. But in Seoul, I guess because Seoul had the largest percentage of foreigners, they were kind of just over like foreigners.
Yeah, like we've seen you before. It's all good.
Yeah, so they weren't really that interested in like showing you their culture or anything. They're just kind of like, we kind of wish you're not here, kind of thing.
Oh, the horrors.
I guess I can't even go much into that. There's not much to go into. It just was literally that. So that's the one for Seoul.
Okay.
And then the racism,
Ooh.
I'll give that a solid -2 if possible.
So it's back to 0 for Seoul. -1. Uh-huh.
So, oh child, where to begin? Like,
You know, that is a stereotypical Trinidadian thing to say. Oh, child. Oh no. Say no more. Say no more. Jesus. Rest a hand on the shoulders of this child before I smack him in the face. Pow.
so I guess I could start from when I visited Seoul from Busan, and I was still living in Busan.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to a concert.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time I encountered like racism, because we were at the train station because we took the train from Busan to Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
And a Korean lady walks up to us, and there were like 4 of us. We're all foreigners. Like, I'm black. The girl from Panama was black, and then the other 2 were Latinas.
Mm-hmm.
And she walks up to us, and she's like, I don't know. I don't even know what she was saying actually, because at that point, like, my Korean wasn't super good,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't really know what she was asking. But I mean, no one kind of answered her because we're all like the same level of Korean, so we can't communicate. We're just there to see a concert, you know? And then she starts yelling at us, and literally the only few English words she knew was, "Go back to your country."
Wow.
And she yelled it like 50 times, like from leaving the train, like the gate where we got out the train area,
Mm-hmm.
to like leave the station. She just followed us yelling, "Go back to your country, go back to your country, go back to your country." And just like, that was really like disturbing for me. One, I didn't expect that.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, it's like she was so adamant about it. Like she, like, if she could put us on a plane and send us herself, she would.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So why didn't she?
Well, I mean,
She could have paid the ticket prices. I think you'd probably be happy at that point. You'd be like, yeah, pay my tickets. I'll go back. It's okay.
Yeah, like a one-way ticket is like 10,000 TT. So I'm okay if you want to send me back home. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that was my first like big experience. And then, well, as I learned more Korean, because then after that it was like a year of learning Korean, so I knew a lot more. You begin hear, like, Koreans do this thing where they assume you don't speak Korean.
Ooh.
So what they do is, in front of your face, they start talking about you.
They start talking trash.
Shit. And they talk like shit. Like, they do. Like, they would say like, okay, this is like one of the experience that really demoralized me when I moved to Seoul. And I was at my school, and I was sitting at the cafe with another roommate. She's from Slovakia, and we're there like drinking coffee. While she was drinking coffee, I was drinking juice. And there's like a Korean girl and a guy sitting like next to us, and like you know, under the umbrellas, those fancy little cafe umbrellas thing. And you know, you're overhearing them because now you can understand the language. And she goes, "She's so fucking ugly." So, you know, like, obviously we perk up because it's like, you know, well,
you're like, what? Say
what
what
are
now?
you
Talking about me?
Yeah, so I think I'm not the most vain person or anything. I think I'm kind of cute.
You are cute. You are cute. That's a fact.
You know? And so we're listening now to hear, like, what exactly, like, maybe they're just talking about someone, right? And then she goes, "If I was ever born a black person, I would kill myself." And then we were like, oh, she's talking about me. Because my friend from Slovakia is obviously white.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then she started off on a tangent, and then the guys there just agreeing with her.
He's like, yeah, exactly. How dare her be black?
For me, like, that was a really bad experience because, like, I never experienced that before. Like, someone just hating on me because of my color. Like, I was just kind of in shock. Like, I don't even know you. Like, I haven't done anything to you. And so, that was my first experience with, like, someone hating me because of my skin color and like the things she was saying. Like, she said worse things that I don't even want to, like, bring up. Like,
she said worse things.
Yeah.
That's the question. Do these worse things make you feel bad, or you just you don't want to say it? Because you can say it here. I want to hear it. But I mean,
okay. Well, she likened the skin color of black people to shit and said that we can't possibly be smart because our brains are shit. Because we look like shit. And it was nasty. Like, the thing she was just spewing, and I was just like,
the levels of ignorance, it's like, oh.
When you're on bad Wi-Fi and you're playing the YouTube video and it's just buffering, like, I was just buffering. Like, I didn't really know what to say or do. I was just speechless because I've never in my life had that level of, like, toxicity.
I think that's it. I think toxicity is it, especially if you come from, like, a place like Trinidad and Tobago where the levels of racism isn't to that level. Like, it's a jarring experience. I remember my first racist experience in IRL, and I was like, I didn't even know I was being racially attacked because I didn't understand what the person was saying. It was only after the fact. I was like, it was translated to me, and I was like, oh, so they were being racist. Is that it? After I cooked them a meal,
Now I know.
Exactly, I was like, and the person didn't even look at me to say the racist stuff. They were saying it to another person. So this person was saying it to my missus, basically, because the person was Polish. My missus is Polish. So he was telling her in Polish, he was like, because he told her basically, he had fancied her, right? And, but she told him, hey, you know what, I'm taken, and he kept pursuing. At the time, we weren't even in a relationship. At the time, we was still getting to know each other and stuff like that. And, but she was like, oh, she was like, Q, is it okay if I tell this dude that, that we're seeing each other? Because I just need him to just stop, like, pursuing me. And she was like, if not, it's okay. I can ask someone in work or something. The guys in work wouldn't mind. I was like, no, it's okay. You can go ahead and tell them that we're seeing each other. It's all good. I don't mind. If it will make it more comfortable for you, say no more. I'm good. And this guy, like, the first time we met, I cooked for him. I made food because they were all here in the house, and I cooked food and we were all eating and all that kind of stuff. And he was so friendly. He wanted me to drink with him. He offered me vodka because Polish people love their vodka. Yeah, they had Polish vodka, and he offered me beers, and I had to drink Polish beers. I'm not a big drinker, but a Polish tradition, according to what my missus was telling me at the time, was like, if you're offered a drink, you should accept. It's considered rude if you don't accept. So I was like, okay, I'll drink. I'll have one. And then I had another one, and another one. And so I cooked, and everyone ate, and he was like, oh, your food is so great. And, he wanted to know where Trinidad was, and I showed him the video, like the Google map thingamabob. And, we had a little discussion about Trinidad and similarities between Trinidad and Tobago and, like, Poland. And, we had a nice conversation. And then after I went to the loo, dude looks at her and is like, so is that your boyfriend? And she was like, yeah. He's like, beautiful girl like you with a guy like that. After seeing this exceptional splendor, this beautiful chocolate complexion, he was like, try and insult this exceptionalness. Came at me without me even knowing. I was in the loo emptying the tank, I comes out, dude's missing. And then it turns out, he's coming down the steps shouting something and to her, and she's shouting something back to him. And they're just shouting at each other, Polish, 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 Polish. And I'm just standing at the bottom of the steps, just like, I just exited the living room because, you're sitting in the living room. I was like ready to call my brother, like, hey, come pick me up, man. I'm ready to leave. Like, my night is over here. And I'm sitting in the living room, and this guy is coming down the steps, and I hear shouting. So I come out in the door, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? I missed something. I look at him as he's down at the bottom of the steps. He's standing there looking up at her like this. I'm here like me. She's up at the steps like that. And I'm looking at him like, and he's like, Polish, 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 Polish. And she's up there, Polish, 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 Polish. And I'm just looking at him. He didn't look at me. He's just like looking at her. And then he turns around, doesn't look at me, and he just walks out the door and closes the door and leaves. And I'm like, what just happened there? And she fills me in. The dude just went full racist. He was like, he just started calling her Negro whore and all sorts of different words, and basically was just dropping them N-words like nobody's business. I was like, damn. And the only thing I said to her, I was like, and I just fed him. He just ate my cooking. The horrors.
The audacity.
The audacity. You know, and his mate, he had a mate at the time who came over, an older gentleman. And I call him a gentleman because he was a gentleman. Because he was at the table with us as well. He was also Polish. And he came back to apologize for the guy. He was like, oh, so, you know, because we were sitting in the living room talking about it. And then he came back with his friend. And the friend was like, he was like, oh, I'm so sorry about all this that happened. But he was speaking Polish to my missus at the door. So he was like, Polish, 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 Polish. And she was like, Polish, Polish, Polish. Polish, 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 Polish. And then I'm there standing there with like Google. Like, at that point in time, I was like, I need to know. So I pull up my Google Translate. I'm like, listen to this shit. And Google is like getting like 1 or 2 words and stuff, you know. And I'm like, damn you, Google, you're terrible at this. You know, I just put it down. I'm like, I'll just ask her when I'm done. Right? They finish the conversation, and right at the end of the conversation, he looks over her shoulder and he's like, I'm sorry, my friend. But with an accent, of course, because his English isn't that good. And then they leave. Him and the guy leave. And then she comes in and she's like, oh, the older guy came to apologize. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You guys fed us. You were so nice to us. You were so hospitable. And this is how he behaved. And, you know, he's not usually like this. You know, he was drinking. It's the alcohol speaking. And my missus was like, nah, man, if that's what comes out when you drink, you know, I mean, it was there in your head all along. You know, it just came out. You know, the alcohol makes it smoother. It makes the racism come out like butter, you know. It greases the pipes. So when you do say it, it's like, none of that. We ain't having that around there. So yeah, that was my first IRL racist attack. And I thought I had one before that, you know, because I was so accustomed to petty Trinidadian racism, you know, because in Germany, you know, I had this these Austrian guys who I was asking for directions because I needed to find my way to the airport. And I was using Google Maps, but I couldn't figure stuff out because I didn't understand that I had to go underground and all that kind of stuff. And I go to these guys who were just hanging out there. And at the time, it's late at night. It's dark outside. There's just like street lights on and stuff like that. And these guys hanging out by the train station. And I'm like, I don't really want to go talk to them because at the time, you've seen on the news about, you know, foreigners who have chocolatey complexion being attacked, you know, because of neo-Nazi peoples and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, dude, I need to get to the airport because I have a flight. You know, I can't miss this flight. I don't have enough money to buy another ticket. So I basically just went up to these guys, you know, I just like put on my big boy hat and I was like, let me go talk to them. And I was like, hey man, like, anyone of you guys speak English? And one of the guys was like, oh, he speaks English. And then the guy came over and he was like, hey, what do you need? I was like, I'm trying to find a train station, you know. I put on my most proper voice, you know, I'm trying to find the base station, the train station. I take the bass out. Yes, I'm trying to find the train station. And it's like, I can't figure it out. It's somewhere around here. And then he's like, oh, well, you know what? I think you go here, you know, I think it's there, and blah, blah, blah. And they were very nice. They helped me out and all that kind of stuff. And when I was leaving, one of the guys looks at me and he's like, so, you got any weed on you? And I was like, what? Do you have any weed? I was like, no, I don't have any weed. He's like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, did you just assume Caribbean accent? Weed? I'm just have it on me? Chocolate complexion? Weed? I told my brother that and he was like, bruh, that's not racism. It's all good. The guy just probably assumed something. It's all good. It's petty. I was like, but that's racist, bro. He assumed I had weed. You know, probably thought I was Jamaican. And so that was it basically. I mean, in my life, that's my racist experience. Other than like YouTube racism, that's it. And so hearing having someone be racist to you in your face. Because I mean, I imagine if I understood what the guy was saying at the time, like if I understood Polish at the time to understand what he was saying, I would have been like, and I hate you. I'd probably just like, take that, you know, how dare you, like, eat my food and then say these things about me. Actually, no, I probably wouldn't have hit the guy, but yeah. I would have hit him if he had tried to start something with me, like if he had swung at me or something. Ooh, I was ready, Kitami. I was so ready. I was like, ooh, like, yes, let's do this. Sounded like, you know when you jump into the spot, you're like, yeah, let's do this. You're doing that shuffle leg thing. I was ready. I was like, bring it, dude. Bring it. I am ready. You know? But he was short. He was shorter than me. He's about that height. And he was stubby. So then he looked at me and he was like, this tall guy's gonna, he's from the Caribbean. He's probably gonna roundhouse kick me.
Light me up.
Yeah, he's like, nah, can't take that risk. Can't take that risk. Plus, he was more intoxicated than me because I was able to keep my alcohol and he was not. So yeah, it was a hell of a night. So your racist experience, back to you in Korea, back to Seoul. That was the first one. How many others were there? Like, do you have like a count?
It's countless from then on.
They were just like, chocolate complexion person,
even
go back home.
On my graduation day.
Oof. Was it like the person was like, take your graduation certificate, you walk in poop, go home?
No, that happened after, actually, because I had another friend who, she's studying there. She's from Trinidad, so she came on my graduation day, like, just to support me and stuff. So we went to the convenience store after the graduation ceremony and everything. And well, we're wearing braids because it's summer, and you know you don't want to. Korea is very humid, and you don't want to keep like your curls out because then it's no longer curls. It's like an afro, like not even a cute afro. You know, it's just bad. So you have braids in that case. And her and I, we walk into the shop, and like there were two Korean girls near the door when we walked in, and they kind of gasped and recoiled, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking, oh well, you know. Yeah, I'm thinking like, oh, you know, they probably never saw a black person, so that's why they're acting like that, you know? And we just dismissed it. But then they started talking, and they were like, do you see like what they have in their hair? They don't wash that for like 3 months. That's so nasty. And we're there like, what? What do you mean we don't, what? Like, you know, we're like, where do they find this information? Like, and then the other one was like, I don't even know they make makeup for those kind of people. Because I guess we were wearing like lips, gloss, and eyeliner or something. I don't even know they make makeup for those kind of people. And then she goes like, I don't even consider black women as women. They just look like the men. And like,
the horrors. Oh.
And well, my friend knows way less Korean than I do, and I just didn't have the heart
to tell
translate everything. I just told her about the hair thing, and I stopped there. Like, I just didn't have the heart to like. You're like,
go home.
I was like, because I mean, she's feisty. I know she was gonna throw some hands, so I was like, you know what, like, I'll just tell her the bare minimum. Let's just go get our drinks and leave. Like, you know, like.
Did you ever tell her?
I don't think I even told her to this day because she still lives there. And I know, like, now that she knows more Korean, like,
she's probably had it.
She's probably gonna want to throw some hands, you know. Like, so.
Is she still living there by choice, or is it she's still studying or something?
She's still studying because I think she's doing a bachelor's and I was doing a master's, so I had 2 years and she had 4. So I think it's been a year since I've been back, a year and something.
Feels longer.
Yeah, so she still has like a year to go, maybe.
Oh, the suffering, the horrors.
Yeah. So she has to stay there for the next year.
Damn.
And something, if depending on her requirements to graduate. So I always feel sorry for her. Like,
so on the pedestal of racism, we would have to assume that Korean people are like top tier. They're like Racist experts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Super racist,
Because
you know? They walk around with an R in their chest. Ugh.
it's kind of weird because how do you describe Korean racism? It's not just black people. It's all foreigners.
Oh, they do to white
But
folk as well?
Yeah, but then that's where it gets a little tricky because their standards of beauty is heavily fixated on Caucasian people. So they like the big eyes, blue eyes, blonde hair. They find that really attractive. So on one end, it's like they really elevate Caucasian people in terms of all the other foreigners, but they still will treat them bad.
Like trash.
Just less bad than everyone else. Like all the other foreigners. So it's like, if you're white, there's a lot you'll get away with, but you're still treated badly as a foreigner. But I don't want to like generalize it. It's not all Koreans, because I have met some really nice Koreans.
Oh, she puts it in the end there, you know. There's that one Korean person who's like her friend, you know, out there like, "Ugh, so this is what you think of me. I'm never listening to the rest of this. I hate you now." And then, you know, they unfriend you on Facebook and you're
No,
like,
there are some really nice ones, but like the ones that were in my lab were not really nice at all. Like I remember I ended up crying because we went to a conference. So there's like conferences you have to present at, like as a master's student to graduate and stuff. So we went to a conference and we had a hotel room, of course. So there's this one other girl in the lab. She's an undergraduate, so she's not doing like the presentations like us. And I guess she assumed I didn't speak Korean because I've never really interacted with her that much. So we were all like just standing there. I was standing a little more to the side because I was charging my phone because we were in the conference room. And she's like talking to the guys, like the other guys from the lab, and she's like, "Oh, I wish the girls had 2 rooms instead of 1 because the room only has 1 bed, right?" And then she goes like, "I don't want to sleep next to a black person, and I heard that they smell really bad, so I don't want to sleep next to her because she's probably gonna smell really bad." And she's like saying that, and then like one of the guys who know I speak Korean, he was like shushing her and she wouldn't take the hint. So she kept going and he's like shushing her, and then I guess finally like it got through to her that maybe I was listening. And so when we went back to the room now to like, I mean, I was still feeling really bad in the moment because like after I heard that, I kind of like went to the bathroom and I cried my eyes out because I was like feeling so bad. You know, I don't have any other foreigners here with me. It's just me, and I have to deal with this for the rest of this trip. And this trip was like 3 days long, you know, and I was just feeling so bad. And then like the night, I must admit, I was kind of passive aggressive about it. So I take like some of the blankets and stuff and I set up on the couch, right? So she comes in and she looks at me and she's like, "Why didn't you go into bed?" And I was like, "Oh no, I ride at the couch. I don't want to like smell or anything." You know, I was kind of passive aggressive, and her face is like, she like realized like, oh shit, she heard me. Like she heard all the things I was saying. Like she looked like super shocked, you know. And I guess for the rest of the trip, she like felt bad, so she tried to be like really friendly with me and stuff. But I mean, I already had like my first impression of her after hearing
you're like, "Bitch,
that,
I don't want to be your friend. Don't talk to me."
So like her trying to like make nice with me during the rest of the trip was just like, "Please don't talk to me," you know, like I already know what you think, and maybe you have new information that changes that now, but that's still what I think of when I think of you.
You've already been tarnished, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that was another experience that really like rattled me, I guess, because that actually affected me mentally. The rest of them, they're like bad, but it's like at the same time, it's like I feel like at that point, because I was like going into like my last year in Korea, at that point I was kind of just over it, you know. I was like,
you were like,
whatever they say, I'm like, okay, I don't care, you know, like I don't care. At that point,
you got your
like,
racism force field, you know. You're protected. Like,
yeah, like I heard on the subway, like,
I would have just
people
literally
saying
just
stuff
like,
and stuff.
I would have waited for people to start talking racist shit, and I'd just like start like pull I'd just keep a grocery list of me at all times, I just pull up my grocery list and oh yeah, I've got to get but in Korean, like Korean, but like, gotta get some eggs later, it would be nice to have some of that, and a bit of chicken. I could make some kimchi, with some of this vegetable stuff here. That should be good. Or I would just call someone. I'll just call someone in Korean, and just like someone in Korean just be like, oh, Korean, oh, Korean. And then just watch their faces, just jaws drop, Like for me, one of the things I've always told my missus, I'm like, girl, I just want to learn Polish to the point where, I could just be around Polish people as they're talking smack. And I could just be like, so how you do?
Talking Polish.
Polish. Yeah, because but the thing is, I think because of I don't speak Polish as of yet. I understand some words. I can say some words. I know what they mean and stuff like that. But which means that whenever I'm out in public and I hear someone speaking, because here in the UK there are a lot of people from different countries. Whenever someone says certain Polish words, I know they're a Polish speaking person. So I'm instantly like, oh, they're Polish, And so whenever I'm with my missus, I instantly ask, I'm like, so what are they saying? And she's like, stop eavesdropping, man. You don't need to stop minding people's business. Girl, I need to know. Tell me, what are they saying? So and the thing is that it's amazing how some people can be racist, and but then they also experience racism. But there's the surprise that they experience that that happens to them. So like for example, Polish people experience racism here in the UK because British people see them as these foreigners who come in. And they're like Mexicans to British people, like Mexicans. So basically, Polish people, Poland is not as rich as the UK of a country, and it's been through some struggles and all that kind of stuff. And so the people come over here and they get menial jobs and they build themselves up. And also Polish people tend to stick to each other. They tend to stick to their culture. They don't usually sort of go out and mingle with everyone. So you'll find like if you know a Polish person, like they have Polish Facebook groups for your area where Polish people talk about Polish things, and if you work in a company, all those Polish folk hang out together, kind of thing. And so it's a thing whereby they're seen as these sort of like bad people. Also, like Polish blokes can tend to be a bit more aggressive in a sense. They're sort of like they're ready for the fight, whereas Brits are very like, I just want to say they're pansies basically. They're very soft. They will pretend to fight you. They'll come like, oh, come on, let's do this, and then they'll run away or something. I don't know what happens. I've seen British people videos of them fighting, and the fights go where everyone just sort of like run to each other, and then the other person runs back, and they run in and they run back, and nothing happens. And I'm like, okay, well then what is the purpose of this? Just hit the guy already. So generally speaking, British people tend to avoid people. Like from what I've noticed, if something's going on, a British person would just avoid it. They're just like, no, not my business. I'm out of here. Just super soft. And I mean that like generally across the board. Like it doesn't matter what complexion British person they are, just British people in general, will avoid shit. They're like, I'm not in for that. But the country has a lot of foreigners, and but you'd see Polish people, they receive racism from British people, right? But then they in themselves would also be racist to other people as well. And it's the weirdest thing to me. It's like, how could you experience it and then dish it out, because I can't see myself being racist to anyone,
But I think for them it doesn't really hit them until it applies to them.
Yes. And even when it applies to them, in some cases, sometimes they're just like, they would like they could receive racism today from a British person and tomorrow be racist to someone who's black without question, no chill, And like I remember my missus was telling me one time she was in this Russian group, like for this game that she was playing, because she was trying to learn Russian, because she used to learn Russian when she was in school, and she's always had fascination with languages. So she was like, oh, I'll join this Russian group for this game that I'm playing, and she joins this group and they all chat, and she's improving her Russian and all that kind of stuff. And then they start talking some racist talk and stuff like that, and she tells him, hey, her boyfriend is black, and ooh, she said it just changed, man. Like she said one time she came in and they were just talking smack, but they didn't know she came in, and it was like they came into the chat room or whatever they were on, and I was like, oof, the feels, man, the racism just coming in left, right, and center, and apparently it's worse for women than men. So if a Polish woman were to go with a black guy, it's like she's seen as like a whore, but a Polish guy to go with a black woman, it's bad, but not as bad. Like they would, according to my missus, if we went to Poland together, we couldn't even hold hands. They would shame us in the streets, they would say stuff at us, all the time, and it would be horrible, completely horrible. So yeah, a bit backwards. I'm assuming it's the same in Korea. Is it if a Korean guy was with a black woman, would he get any smack, or if a Korean woman was with a black guy, is it the same?
Any Korean with a foreigner would get like shit talked.
Ooh.
But like mostly like from the old people.
Ooh.
I mean, I guess now like when I was leaving, it was getting a lot more common to see like interracial couples.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's getting a little bit more common. That's because it's like places like Itaewon and Hongdae are like areas where a lot of foreigners are, and then I guess the Koreans who go there are the ones interested in being with foreigners. And then in my case, you have the few creeps, kinda.
Explain.
They fetishize being with a black girl, so they kind of super pursue you because you're black.
When you say fetishize, is it the same way that like foreigners fetishize like Japanese people? Like they're like, oh, Japanese girls are like, is it the same thing?
Yes. Yeah. It's not a lot of them, but the density of their personalities when you meet one, it's very
Is it like,
it's out there, like,
let me lick your skin?
I've had a guy walk up to me like, yo, what's up, girl? Like, he's like trying to do this gangster thing. So I'm like, well, then I talked to him in Korean because he came up in English, and I'm like, hi, how are you? And he was like, oh, like, I like your skin, I like your boobs, and I'm like, do girls fall for this? Like,
they probably do. I mean, those there are certain girls who are a level of Korean fangirl that they probably hear and they're like, oh, take me home one time. It's okay.
I was so appalled, and he just went on. He's like, yeah, I bet your skin really smooth, and I want to touch it and stuff. And I'm just like, I heard black girls are really good in bed. I watch the pornos. I see the ass shaking, like things like that, and I'm like, Lord, give me strength.
Curious question, right? You don't have to answer it, but have you ever been with a Korean guy?
All the way, no. Like intimately, like all the way, no.
Okay, so like kisses, probably.
I don't even think kisses. Like,
oh, so it's like just holding hands or something.
Yeah, and like take me on a ride on your motorcycle. Let's go to dinner, kind of thing. But it's never gotten like as far as to be intimate. Because I guess when you look at like K-dramas and K-pop and stuff, it's like, you know how when you watch an advertisement and the burger looks so good,
but it's not like that in real life.
And then when you actually go there and buy the burger, you're like, the fuck is this? You're kind of like, I mean, it kind of looks like the burger, but it's
not the burger.
I feel like I got scammed, like, I guess that was the feeling for me.
You should be an activist about it. You should be like telling girls off who are like falling over Korean guys, like, hey.
I have tried. They don't listen.
They don't.
They have their fan thing. They don't listen to me. So when they go and experience for themselves, okay. But I think even recently there was a big thing with this Korean YouTuber who would take like foreign girls who were into like Korean men and stuff and like molest them sexually. I think there was a big case about that recently.
A YouTuber?
So, yeah, a YouTuber.
Oh my
So,
god.
it's like, I don't know. Like, I think after that, like, last date, I was like, you know, I'm gonna just be single for my entire time left here. I'm over it already. Like, I don't know if there's people who, because I'm not the type of person who likes to date around and stuff. It's like, I'm kind of the like, find that one person I gel with and then want to gel with that person for a while. I'm not the like the date this guy, date this guy, date this guy, and choose one out of the pile to go with. Like, I'm not that type of person. I'm just like, I focus on one person. So
You
for
find
me,
your
I was
squeeze.
like, this is wasting my time. Like, I will just do my degree and chill. Like, I'm at the point where I don't need a man. So
Ooh.
if
Like
there's a
right
man,
now in life?
because yeah, I mean,
I thought
do
you had a
have
mister
boyfriend,
at this point in time.
Huh?
I thought you were in a relationship. Aren't you in a relationship with someone?
I am in a relationship, but I'm saying I'm still at the point where that's more of a want than a need. I don't need like a
Ooh.
man or need like a boyfriend.
He's gonna
I
hear
am
it.
fine as an individual person on my own. I've accomplished everything I've wanted to accomplish, and I've been where I wanted to go, except Switzerland. That's gonna happen at some point when COVID is over. But you know, so it's like I've already accomplished everything I want to do. So if I want someone to come into my life, it's because I want them there, not because I need them there.
It's not a need. Okay, I get it. I get where you're going with it. I get where you're going. Because I'm picturing your boyfriend listens to this at some point and he's like, oh, so it's like that, huh? I see.
Oh no, he understands. I mean, he always tells me to, like, I know you don't need a man. Like, you're very independent and you do your own thing, you know. So
did you meet in
But, and
Korea?
I-
Was he in Korea as well when you met, or did you guys meet somewhere else?
my boyfriend?
Yeah.
No, he lives here.
In Trinidad?
Yeah.
I thought you was seeing a bloke from some other place.
Yeah, that broke up a while ago.
Oh my god. You see, this is the thing. You never call me. I never know anything. I just assume things. All this time I'm like, you know, Kitami has this bloke.
It's been a while now since we broke up. A long while.
Oh, you see.
But that's also like contributed to like the COVID thing, and it was getting a bit rough, the long distance.
Yeah, that was.
And then COVID started when we were like unable to visit each other a lot and stuff, and it just petered out.
It did affect my relationship to some extent as well. I won't go into details. Anyone who wants to know what happened, there are a couple episodes on That Beautiful Life, the podcast. If you wanna find out what happened, you know, just go to the episodes somewhere around. There's some episodes somewhere around November, late November. Listen to those episodes. You know what I'm talking about there.
Wait, so you gotta send me the link then.
Oh, I can send you the links, definitely. I can definitely send you the links and you can check it out and find out how my situation was affected by COVID. There's a lot of stuff happened. A lot of people were like, oh, this is a roller coaster queue. Shit just going up and down and just crazy.
Oh, now I'm super interested. You know, I love drama when I'm not in it.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it's
I love like
interesting.
other people's drama. I just don't like to be in drama.
Same.
Oh, speaking of that, you know, there's something I will relate to you after recording.
Ooh, I need to know. Now I'm girl, behave yourself. So let's see. Let's get to the end of this then. We've got interesting conversations to be had. So moving forward. We still have Seoul. We're still at minus. Was it -1? -1. We have 2 more categories. Yeah. Is that 2 more categories? Let's hear it.
Yeah. But the 2 categories are pretty decent. Like, salary is 1.
Yeah. Okay.
That's only because Seoul is a lot more expensive than Busan.
Okay. So
So
we're back
say
at 2.
1 watermelon is oh, that car.
Is there a car in my background?
Oh no, in my background it was playing music.
I was like, ooh,
Um,
I need a car.
You could get a whole watermelon for like $7 to $15. $5 US in Busan, but then when you get to Seoul, a watermelon is like 20 US.
Oof.
So
It's double the
it's
price.
like the price inflated so much when you moved.
Yeah.
So like that 1,000 US that we were given each month to live there started to feel insufficient because it was, like you had to pay dorms and you had to buy food, you had transportation and stuff but in my case, I had it a little easier than other students because my dorm was free and because I worked in the lab, I got extra money because I did computer science. So when you work in the lab and you help you help the professor research and stuff, they give you like an extra $350 and stuff. So for me, it wasn't that bad. But for other students, like some of my friends, like their dorm fee was already like $200, $300, and they're only getting 1,000. And then they have to buy food, they have to pay for materials and things like that. So it was a pretty bit rough for them. So salary would be 1, safety also 2, because I would say all of Korea is safe.
Pretty safe. Okay, so right now Seoul is just a flat 2. There's literally, for Seoul is a flat 2. Basically, just don't go there.
I mean, you can go there if you wanna like see the attractions and go to like the stores and stuff you see advertised online, sure. But for living, you're probably better off in Busan or a bit more rural area. Because
don't try to be nice to them. Don't try to be nice to them. They are 2, right? If you met a guy who was a 2, would you date him? Would you date a guy who is a 2?
It depends on how nice his personality is.
No, his personality is part of that too.
Oh, then no.
Exactly. So I'm just saying.
No, but I would say because Seoul has everything in terms of what you want. Like the Riot office is there, so if you want to go look at the League of Legends and stuff, you could go there. Overwatch is there. If you're a gamer and stuff, you could it's fine. You can find everything there. I went to Riot Worlds tournament when I was in Korea as well, and it was pretty good and stuff.
I've visited enough game developers' offices. I don't care about them anymore. They're just like, I've been there, done that. It exists.
You go to NC Soft and these places. So.
You know what? I think I've gotten some emails from NC Soft before, and then I was like, but I don't play MMOs though, so you guys could leave me alone now.
Yeah.
It's like, piss off.
So Seoul's good for that stuff and concerts and things like that. You definitely find Seoul. So overall, if I had to choose a place in Korea, I'd probably just go back to Busan.
Okay. I mean, it was an 8, so it's like that's a solid relationship material there. That is good. That is good. I mean,
Busan's really good. Like when I say stuff like I miss Korea, I mean Busan. I don't mean like.
You're like, let me specify. It's not that Korea. It's this Korea. That's the one.
Yeah. I miss Busan. I do not miss Seoul at all. Like I graduated and I left the country the day after.
I remember you telling me that. I remember that. I was like, oh my god, she didn't even stick. She was like, I am out. See you guys on the flip side. Peace.
And the only reason I couldn't leave the day after I graduated was because I had to get my degree apostilled so I can use it outside of Korea. And that was going to take like a day. So that's literally the only reason I didn't leave the day after graduation. So I just left the day after graduation. I was like,
let me just get this
I'm gone. Like, bye. You sucked some years out of my life. I'm gone. Leave me alone. Like,
here's a question.
I want to go home and meet Ruthie.
If you had a chance to do it over, would you still go to Korea, or would you have chosen to go somewhere else? Like if you had the information that you have now, the knowledge, the experience you have now, and let's say someone could get you back in time, like Kitami, let's take back 3 years behind and say, hey, you have a choice. You can go to Korea and do this degree there, or you could do the same degree somewhere else or whatever have you. Would you still go?
I would go somewhere else.
She didn't even wait. She was like, yeah.
I
I'm
would
good.
I would go somewhere else. It was really a really stressful time for me. Like,
I can imagine. I can imagine.
so
I can
I
imagine.
think I was like on the lower end of losing my sanity by the time I left. I was so done. I was like, no,
I think
I'm
there's
going
one
home.
thing as well for me is that being in a country where there are not a lot of people that look like you, there's the weird experience. I'm gonna have to assume you've experienced this before because people I've spoken to have
Yep.
told me they have experienced this as well. Like whenever you go to a country where a lot of the population is just not the same complexion as you, whenever you see someone that looks like you, complexion wise, it's like, oh, another one. Hello, hi. You know, the nods I got, you know, like in Germany or well, not in Sweden. In Sweden, I was with my friends the entire time, so I just never really met anyone in Sweden. But in Germany, whenever I was by myself and I saw another black person, they would look at me and they would smile like, and then they would just
That
like,
was basically Korea as well. We did the nod and the wave. You know, when you see each other, you just do the nod, like the acknowledgement.
yeah.
That's literally what it was like. Cause you're like, yo, you're out here surviving too. You know.
I see you. I feel your pain. We get this.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. It was the weirdest thing, but it was like we knew it. It was like it was natural. It was organic. Because I remember like nodding at people, and it was like I wanted to nod at them, and they wanted to nod at me, and we just didn't know each other, but we just did it, and it was like, yeah, ain't that a thing, you know. Ain't that a thing? And hopefully, you know, the world gets better over time. You know, people. I think this current upcoming generation are so different. You know, like they you know, as time passes and hopefully people get more and more open and meeting new people and stuff. I think COVID has set things back a bit because people aren't traveling anymore, or at least that's not as much. But I think this current generation, like kids now, are so different. I remember I was talking to one of my missus friends, and she was telling me, she was asking her son. Her son has a friend who is black, and he's Nepalese, Nepalese Polishese, and he's like a young kid. He's like all tiny and stuff, kid height, you know, pint size. And he was like wearing a jacket or something, and his friend was wearing a jacket, and she asked him, like, she had a picture of them, and she was like, do you see a difference between you and, let's call the friend Paul? And he was like, Paul has a green jacket and I have a red one, you know. That was all he saw. My jacket is red and his is green. Obviously, it's obvious to us. How do you not see this, mom? So, and she felt happy. She was proud about it. She was like, good, look at that, you know. So, I think change is coming. I think it is. It's different for this generation, and I think it's happening quicker.
It's coming.
I wouldn't even say that it's slow. It's like this generation feels like it's big. Like people are making big steps in this generation because, you know, you learn more from your peers than you learn from your parents and society on the whole. So if you have a whole, and the ecosystem now is everyone's online, everyone's connected. So then you have this sort of like global culture that has been formed around memes and all these different things and YouTube and content creation and all this sort of stuff. And it's become this thing whereby young people, no matter where they are, they seem to have a similar personality, because I look at the young people here in the UK and young people back in TT, and there's a similarity you see straight across the board, despite the fact that they've grown up in different countries. And it's the same in other countries, like in the US and all that kind of stuff. You're starting to see there's a huge change. And when I say young people, I mean specifically those under the age of probably 15. You know, they are a different generation, a different vibe of people. And you know that if they're left alone and they're allowed to grow as they are now, it's going to be a whole different ballpark by the time they're adults. You know, it's just going to be like the world has changed. So it marvels me. It really does marvel me to see that kind of change. Kitami, there's a thing, I don't know if the listeners or the viewers who are going to be seeing or listening to this, they don't know, but you are founder for my first website, correct?
Yep.
You were the reason, well, one of the main reasons why I started our podcast and why we you know, the site was built and all that kind of stuff. It was because I asked you and you said yes, you know.
Aww, that's so sweet.
It's the truth. It is. I always tell the story to people. I always talk about you, and I always tell the story. You know, I have this friend, and how the site started and stuff. And one of my mates, they went to school together, and he told me, he's like, hey, you know, I have this, you know, this friend in school and stuff like that, and she needs help with her DS. You know, I was gonna do quotations, but it was a DS. The help is the quotations, but basically, and we ended up on a phone call. And the first time we spoke, I remember, he puts you on the phone and you say like, I don't know, you said like 2 words or something. And I was like, can you give him back the phone? You give him back the phone. And I was like, bro, is that her real voice? He's like, yeah. I was like, give her back the phone. And I was like, hi, how are you doing? How can I help? And a friendship blossomed from there. And we added each other on Facebook. And then when everyone kept telling me, dude, you should do a podcast. And I remember saying, you know what? I don't have anyone to do it with. And someone said, hey, I think it was the same friend who introduced us. He said, like, you should ask Kitami. And I was like, she's probably gonna say no, though. Because I think I'd asked you before if you would like to help me with something else. I think it was like manage a Facebook group or something. And you said no. And I was like, she's going to say no. There's no way she says yes. And then I asked you and you just said yes. And I was like, really? I guess I'm doing this.
It sounded like fun,
Yeah, it was.
We had so much fun. Like,
we did. We
had
have
like
so much fun.
Seasons, basically,
Yep.
And
it's dead now. I don't even have the recordings. I think it's all deleted from the internet, unless of course someone has the recordings stored on their phone or something. The server that it was stored on, that server went down, and the company that was hosting it, they just went down. I never kept like backups because my drives would die. Yeah, like I would keep the backups, but my hard drives would die and then you lose it. So the drives that those were on, the backups would have been on. Those drives are dead, and so I don't even have the first episode we've ever done anywhere. Now maybe there's someone who listened to it way back when and had the first episode. Granted, I did listen to the first episode in recent times, and I did cringe a bit. I was like, oh my god, we were so different back then. Times have changed so much and that's the thing, people change so much over time, and the things you would say, and culture back then is so different than culture now. And I look back at it and I'm just like, wow, it's amazing how far we've come, and I did enjoy it so much back then, and I attest the fact that I continued doing this, that I made this my career, I made this the thing that I wanted to do because of you, because had you said no at that point in time, I never would have done it. I don't think I would have. I think I was just focusing on my degree and not even think about doing podcasting or anything like that. And so
that's so sweet.
It's brilliant. It is brilliant. So if ever you want to put founder of the Button Smashers on your LinkedIn or something, you are most welcome, because of the fact of the matter is the Button Smashers was founded by you. You were a part of that foundation that created that. I mean, it's transcended. The Button Smashers is no longer it doesn't exist anymore. At least not I still own the domain. And I have told friends in the past I do want to revive it as a casual thing that I do, like not the podcast itself specifically. Maybe I'll do the podcast or something. Maybe someone else does it. But I do want to revive the website, thebuttonsmashers.com, because right now the site is simply binge.com. And so I've told myself at some point I would like to revive the Button Smashers, but make it a blog, not a media website like Simply Binge is, and just let people who are into the stuff that we're into, that kind of stuff, just come on. People that I like, that I'm interested in, I think are cool people, just come on and just like share their stuff, put whatever they want to put on there. Have a nice casual thing that just is. And yeah, I mean, it's been quite a few years. I mean, we've known each other for we've probably known each other for more
than 10 years.
Yes. which is a long time when you think about it. We've known each other for more than a third of our entire lives, which is a long time.
Pretty long time.
It is a long time. So thinking about that, it's like I have to say thank you for being a part of my life. You've made my life better. You've made me a better person. And yeah, I mean, I do have more things I would like to talk to you about, but we're at 1 hour and 24 minutes, approaching 30 for this recording.
Yeah.
So at some point I'm going to ask you back to have a second conversation, and we will continue this conversation in that second thing, because we haven't even gotten to talk about games yet. So
this was so fun though.
Yeah. This is exactly what I wanted to be. This particular thing, I wanted to be this. I wanted to be fun. I wanted to be chill, relax. Let's do this. So Kitami, where can people find you? If people wanted to look you up and check out your beauty, listen to your voice, all that kind of stuff, where would they look?
Probably probably find me on Twitter as Cat Simulator.
Ooh.
The bio would be that I'm a senior moderator in Gridcraft, which is a Minecraft server, a big one now.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach Korean on Twitch.
Ooh. Ooh. Say
Yeah.
no more. Say no more.
So,
Do you have a lot of students on Twitch?
I have a few, yeah. Like, I have mostly people who they watch the VODs because I upload like the entire VODs in case.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's like a class, so people can go back and watch. So I'm almost finished this textbook, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna continue after this textbook because my job is getting a little bit more demanding.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for instance, this week I'm working 11 to 7, and then I'm the on-call technician from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Ooh.
So when I finish up with you, I've got to go on call.
Ooh.
So it's like I don't have much time
Mm-hmm.
to do the classes. So I'm not sure if I'll continue after I finish the last textbook we're on.
Do you have backups of your recordings on Twitch, or are they just like it lasts for a while and then it's gone?
They're just they're uploaded as highlights, and highlights could be as long as you want them to be.
Ooh,
So
I didn't know
each
that.
class is there, the entire class is
Mhm.
there from like beginning of class to the end. It's there as a highlight.
Oh, so if someone wanted to find this, where would they go?
Twitch.com/cat_simulator.
Ooh. So you guys go over there if you want to learn some Korean. I mean, we've talked a lot of bad stories about Korea, but I think culturally speaking, it's just some people basically, and maybe the culture is a bit thing. But I think language is beautiful, and I think that you can find beauty in anything. So if you want to learn some Korean with Kitami, go do that. It'll be beautiful. So
It never hurts to learn another language.
it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm hurt that I don't know another language right now. Actually, it sucks. Everyone I know speaks something else. I tell them I speak a second language. I tell them I speak Trini, but they're like, "That's not another language, Q." I'm like, whatever.
Technically, it is.
Technically, it is indeed. Simply Binge Podcast is a part of the Simply Binge network of podcasts, which include That Beautiful Life and Skill Points. All of our podcasts are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Castbox, and most other podcast apps. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Simply Binge UK. Visit our website simplybinge.com if you'd like links to what we mentioned in the show. And lastly, special thanks to all of our guests for taking the time to share a bit of their insight with us today.